Reddit has always been a place where you can dive deep into just about anything. Discussions on movies, gaming, cooking, conspiracies, or even the most niche communities you could think of. I've been a Reddit user for years, lurking through threads, occasionally commenting, but mostly just consuming whatever content I found. It became my late night ritual, scrolling endlessly, reading through the bizarre, the interesting, and sometimes the downright disturbing. But nothing prepared me for what I found one night. It all started in a small subreddit. It wasn't a well known community, just a few thousand subscribers, most of whom posted strange, cryptic questions. At first, it looked like one of those niche subreddits that people use to express their weirdest thoughts or dive into philosophical questions, the kind that don't seem to belong anywhere else. The description of the subreddit was simple: ask and the void shall answer. Cryptic, right? I figured it was just another one of those role playing or creative writing spaces where people posted for fun. Curious, I decided to check out some of the top posts. The questions varied, from the mundane to the outright bizarre. What happens to forgotten memories? Where do lost objects go? Who hears the screams no one speaks? At first, the answers seemed like they were coming from people just having fun, indulging in dark poetry or weird, existential musings. But some of the responses felt off. They weren't just eerie, they felt too specific, too personalized, like they were coming from someone or something that wasn't entirely human. I remember seeing one thread that really grabbed my attention. The post was simple: what happens if you ask too many questions? There were only two responses. The first was a joke, something about getting banned from the subreddit. But the second response made me pause. Ask one more, and you'll find out. It wasn't just the words that bothered me, it was the tone. It was as if the answer wasn't coming from a person, but from something with an eerie kind of authority, like it knew more than it should. The poster's username was a random jumble of numbers and letters, something like underscore U slash 4735 DZA, with no profile picture and no other activity that I could find. Creepy, but not unheard of on Reddit. That's when I noticed something weird. As I scrolled down, there was a series of deleted comments, like entire conversations had been wiped from the thread. I clicked on one out of curiosity, but all I got was an error message. For some reason, it struck me as strange. Usually, when a user deletes a comment, it just says deleted. But this was different. The thread looked as if it had been scrubbed clean, erased by something more than just a user decision. I brushed it off as a glitch, closed the app, and went to bed. But that night, I had the worst dreams I'd had in years. I couldn't recall the details when I woke up, just flashes, dark shapes, muffled whispers, the sensation of being watched from the corners of a room. It was the kind of dream that clings to you for the rest of the day, no matter how hard you try to shake it. The next night, against my better judgment, I found myself back on Reddit. I opened the app, intending to browse through some more mainstream subreddits, but that was still sitting in my history. I hesitated, but curiosity got the better of me. I clicked. When I entered the subreddit, there were fewer posts than before. Way fewer. Threads that I remembered seeing just the night before were gone. At first, I thought I had entered the wrong subreddit, or that maybe the mods had done a mass purge of old content. But the more I scrolled, the stranger it became. Posts were vanishing right in front of me. I'd click on a thread, and by the time I returned to the main page, it was gone. No trace of it. No cached version. Nothing. Then I came across a post titled The Lost Thread. It had no upvotes, no comments, and only a handful of views. Something about the title intrigued me. I clicked. The post was longer than most of the other entries on the subreddit. It wasn't a question, but more like a warning. There are places on the internet you shouldn't go. Everyone talks about the deep web or the dark web, but no one ever mentions the places that don't have names. Subreddits that don't show up in searches, threads that vanish the moment they're read, or posts that seem normal until you realize you're the only one who can see them. If you're reading this, you've already started to slip into one of those places. And if you're not careful, you won't be able to find your way back. Chills ran down my spine as I finished reading. It felt too direct, too personal, like whoever wrote it knew exactly what I was doing. I looked for a username. There wasn't one. The post had no author. That wasn't supposed to be possible on Reddit. Even anonymous posts had usernames attached to them, even if it was just _u/deleted or some generic placeholder. But this post had nothing. I scrolled down to see if anyone had commented, but there were no comments. I clicked the back button to return to the subreddit, but instead of taking me back to Ask the Void, I was taken to a blank page with a single sentence at the top. You have been warned. The background of the page was stark white. No Reddit logo, no navigation bar, nothing. Just that sentence hanging in the empty space. I refreshed the page, but it didn't change. I hit the back button again and again, but I couldn't escape that page. The only thing left to do was close the app entirely. When I reopened it, Ask the Void was gone, not just from my history, but from Reddit itself. I typed the subreddit name into the search bar, but it didn't come up. I tried different combinations, adding underscores, changing capitalization, but nothing worked. It was as if the subreddit had never existed. I searched my browser history, but every link Ask the Void led to a 404 page. There was no record of it on Reddit, no archive, nothing. My mind was racing. How could an entire subreddit just vanish like that? Maybe it had been deleted or banned, but even then, there should have been some trace of it. I decided to make a post in our Ask Reddit, asking if anyone else had heard of Ask the Void. Within minutes, I got my first reply. Never heard of it, but sounds creepy as hell. Then another comment. You sure you got the name right? I can't find anything about it. I scrolled through dozens of responses, but no one seemed to know what I was talking about. Some users even accused me of trolling. I thought maybe I had imagined the whole thing, that I had somehow mixed up subreddits, or that I was overthinking a glitch. But the more I searched, the more it felt like I had stumbled onto something I wasn't supposed to see. For a few days, I tried to let it go. I stopped searching, stopped thinking about it. But that's when things started to get weird. I started receiving random Reddit notifications at odd hours, but when I'd open the app, there was nothing there. No messages, no upvotes, no comments, just silence. My phone would light up at 3 a.m., alerting me to some phantom notification, only for it to disappear the second I unlocked my screen. It happened more and more frequently until I finally decided to reset my phone, thinking it was some kind of glitch. But the notifications didn't stop. And then, one night, I got another message. This time, it wasn't a notification. It was an email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line was blank, and the body of the email was just a single sentence. You shouldn't have asked so many questions. There was no signature, no indication of who had sent it, but the timing was too perfect. It was as if the warning from the lost thread had followed me, reaching out beyond Reddit, beyond the internet, into my actual life. The next morning, my Reddit account was gone. Not deactivated. Gone. My username no longer existed. There was no trace of my posts, no record of my account. Like I had never been on the platform in the first place. I haven't been back on Reddit since then. I deleted the app, wiped my browser history, and stopped visiting the site altogether. But sometimes, late at night, I'll hear the faint ping of a notification. My phone screen lights up, and I know better than to check. Some questions, it seems, are better left unanswered.